So we're going to touch a little bit on the dumbbell deadlift. We're going to do a lot of these, so important to have good form, make sure our back is taken care of. Also kind of good to remember with these, it's more of a push from the floor than it is a pull. With a standard barbell deadlift, there tends to be more of a lean into the barbell. With a dumbbell deadlift, there's more of a squat, okay? So think about that as it pertains to any pulling movement that we do. When it's dumbbells, since they're much lower to the floor than a barbell would be, we always want to squat as opposed to lean, okay? So I'll show you how to set up for those and then kind of how to execute the movement as we go. So with the dumbbell deadlift, we want the dumbbells to start outside of the feet. Okay, so we're out in this position. To initiate the dip, we're going to go down like we're squatting, okay? So from the side, here's what it looks like. To initiate the dip, like we're squatting, okay? See my butt, my legs are about 90 degrees, my chest is up, I'm not leaning, okay, so I don't have a straight back. We don't want to have a flat back when we're doing these deadlifts or when we're doing any kind of pulling movement. We want to make sure that we're angled up and our chest as high as we can. Any type of pull from the floor, we're working hamstrings, glutes, more than we are anything else, okay? So if you don't feel it in your hamstrings and your glutes specifically when you're doing these movements, make sure to adjust it by just raising that chest and pushing your butt a little bit closer to the floor. Stay in the heels is the biggest thing. Anytime I go to my toes, I'm going to take my hamstrings and my glutes out of it. Anytime I stay in my heels, it's always going to be hamstring and glutes, okay? So if I start that movement by going down, I should be able at the bottom to wiggle my toes. You can see my toes are wiggling. That's a good thing. I feel it through here and in my butt. Right there is where we want. We don't want to be like this, because then I'll rock forward. My butt will go higher than my shoulders, and that's not what we want. Okay, you want to be sitting into it so that we can actually stand. So we're doing this when we set up. I'll do a few from the front and then a few from the side. Dumbbells are outside the feet. We're going to sit into it, drive the knees out. When I do dumbbell deadlifts, I tend to touch the head of the dumbbell to the floor. In order to kind of remind you to stay on your heels, it might be better to touch the butt of the dumbbell to the floor. I'll show you both ways so you can see it from the front and from the side. So with the head of the dumbbell from the floor, here's where I like to do them. Okay, so right outside the feet, butt down, chest up, drive through the heels. Sit, stand. Sit, stand. Sit, stand. From the side, same thing. Sit, stand, sit, stand, sit, stand, okay? Notice on those, my shoulders never go below my butt. My butt is always down, my chest is always up, and you're gonna feel that outside of the hips, hamstrings, and then the glutes, and that's what we want, okay? Don't get caught on the toes. Always think about sitting to a low stool, right? If you've got like a small object down here that you're actually trying to sit to, that's the goal with these dumbbell deadlifts, all right? Sit back and down, straight down, as opposed to leaning forward. Like I said about the butts of the dumbbells, I'll show you from the side. If you have the butt of the dumbbell touch, it might force you to sit back a little bit more because the weight is shifting back towards the heels as opposed to when the heads touch and it shifts towards the toes. So if it's a good reminder for you to keep your heels on the floor by touching the butt of the dumbbell, touch the butt of the dumbbell. Works the same way. So here's what it looks like with that. Straight down and up. Straight down and up. Straight down and up. Okay? Notice my chest is super high and my butt's super low. I should be able to wiggle my toes at the bottom. I can. My back isn't taking any stress. It's just like a squat. Okay? So when you're doing those, when you're set up for those, always think about weight in the heels, butt down, chest up. Touch either the head of the dumbbell or the butt of the dumbbell to the floor. And we can push these a little bit in weight. All right? If we have access to heavier dumbbells, feel free on these deadlifts to go a little bit heavier on those. That's going to be one of our heaviest movements that we do.